Paranormal Andy, and Phantom Dark Dave. The Screaming Skull Podcast.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to another episode of the Screaming Skull Podcast, and we are your hosts. I'm Phantom Dark Dave.
And I'm Abnormal Andy.
And we are coming off the cusp of Texas Frightmare weekend, and I think I'm still having trouble adjusting to regular life. How you doing, man?
Yeah, man, it's we're like back in the humdrum of the week. It's as we're recording, it's just another Wednesday, like what we just said, and just kind of feeling a little mid, as the kids say.
Feeling mid? I think that works for me, man. I'm feeling pretty damn mid right now, and I hope I don't sound too fucking cringe saying that. Yeah. But, yeah, no, I love being back home. Things are great. I've missed everybody, and shit, I was only gone for a weekend, but, you know, I'm so used to my ritual, and when I change it up, it gets kind of weird. Now that I'm back to it, it's even more weird, because I think I got kind of spoiled for 3 days where every time I turned the corner, there was just something horror, and I loved it.
Yeah, man, it was great.
Yeah, I got to take down the family photos and put up more horror photos. What? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, that's the craziest thing. We have no family photos up. Do you guys have family pictures in your house?
We have one family picture up, and yeah, it's something that my wife talks about a lot. It's like, we should hang up some pictures. And
it's always good in thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Jesus on my wall. Like, that's family. I'm always gonna have that up there. Yeah. And then, but no, real talk. All I have is like movie stuff hanging up, and is that like a sign of the times? Do people just not hang pictures up no more? I mean, it's like left and right. A lot of those photo places kind of closed, and it seems like now, like the only pictures that exist are on your phone.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Remember when people used to have those digital picture frames?
Yeah, actually, I know somebody that has one of those still.
Is his name Andy?
No. Nope.
All right, cool, man. Well, hey, I'm happy to be back doing this podcast. I know people listened to the Texas Frightmare recap episode, and they had a lot of fun with that because we had bad audio, but good fun.
Yeah, it turned out really good. I was really happy with it. We had some great questions from our listeners, so it was a fun time, like remembering about the convention and also answering some of our listeners' questions.
Yes, we'll have to do that again sometime, maybe when we hit the 1 year mark or something. But
ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we should go ahead and dive into some horror news.
Horror news.
So if you listen to our Ask Me Anything episode, you know the latest movie that I saw in theater was Sinners. And there is a news story. The headline says, "Watch a deleted scene from Sinners now available on digital." So if you went to the movies and saw Sinners, but you're just wanting more, you're in luck. There is a deleted scene that's now available to watch online in time for its digital release. So it's actually a montage that shows the making of the juke joint, which is the main area where things happen in the movie. Yeah, it's kind of what they call their little bar. The twin brothers, they wanted to open up like a bar for them, so it's pretty cool. So it is available to rent or own on digital. It's now available, and it'll also drop on physical media on July 8th. And so that release will also contain some special features, according to Decider, including a 32-minute featurette, Dancing with the Devil, The Making of Sinners, a 10-minute featurette, Thicker Than Blood, Becoming the Smokestack Twins, a 13-minute featurette, Blues in the Night, The Music of Sinners, an 8-minute featurette, Spirits in the Deep South, an 11-minute featurette, The Wages of Sin, The Creature Effects of Sinners, and over 18 minutes of deleted and extended scenes. So that's pretty cool. So for all you fans of Sinners out there, that's a little news about the physical release coming out July 8th. And I guess right now you can check out a deleted scene.
They're just telling you about it. You can't actually see it.
Oh, I guess it's like a Fandango exclusive. So if you go to, I don't know, in the article there's like a video you can click on. So I don't know, maybe if you go on the Fandango website, maybe it's on there.
It says, just click here. It's www.givemeavirus.com.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Man, I still haven't seen it, but I've talked to even more people since I've spoke to you, and everybody seems to like this damn movie. I'm so afraid because that's building up so much hype.
Oh, yeah.
I need people to tell me it sucks, so I like it.
Okay.
All right.
Man, it sucks.
Yes, there you go. You got it. Man, I tell you what, though, there is a movie that did recently come out that I am very interested in seeing because, of course, it involves Satan and possession and all these great things that make good horror movies, and that's Bring Her Back.
Ooh, I know this is by the dudes that did Talk to Me.
Which I really liked, and you...
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it. It was a decent movie. Like, I recognize it was a good movie, but for me, it was just very kind of brutal and bleak, and it just kind of left you just like...
Damn, you just made it sound even cooler than it is. Brutal and bleak. I mean, wow. Hashtag,
it was
that's
like,
good.
so you give us this main character, and she just like goes through this awful experience. And then at the end, it's even awful, just the way it ends.
Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want, a Disney ending?
I don't know. But,
That's okay. Julie, actually, she was quite scared of this movie. It freaks her out, so I always try to use it as much as I can as a reference. I'll be like in the closet, like getting my clothes for the day, and I'll have the door kind of cracked open, and I'll just reach my hand out, so all you see is my hand, and I'll be like, talk to me.
Oh,
she's like, no.
You need to like have a white glove or something you put on your hand and do that, stick it out like that. But
There you go, in the bed sheets. I get it. Cool.
yeah.
But no, man, I mean, as I've gotten older, it's kind of crazy because like younger Dave, who was obsessed with horror, would watch as many horror trailers as possible. Like that, just like you could not show me enough. Older Dave, I'm kind of getting to a point now where trailers are like ruining things for me. And I've heard people say that throughout my lifetime, and I was never on that page with them. But now that I'm noticing how much of the damn movie always appears in the trailer, it's getting me to the point where something you said a long time ago, where I think now I appreciate teasers more than anything else, or like promotional teasers, kind of like the one from the movie today. But yeah, man, like I'm seeing the trailer for Bringing Her Back, and I'm like, oh, this looks amazing, and I'm like, oh, I kind of watched the movie now. Damn.
Yeah, no, I watched the trailer like one time. I was like, okay, that's fine. Or no, I've seen like, I don't know if I saw a teaser, but I've seen like where you see like brief glimpses of different things happening. So I think I've seen the trailer a couple of times. And yeah, just not really sure what to expect with that movie. So I think I'm just going to wait. Probably not going to see in the theater. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Renee saw it because Renee always, our buddy Renee, he always takes advantage of that movies unseen thing that AMC does. And so I think he got a chance to see this before it had came out because this movie is new. It's only been out like a week. Yeah. And I think he told me I would like it. And so I can't remember if this one's an A24 movie or not, but if it is, that would make sense because I think Talk to Me was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
What else you got?
All right, so... we're all fans of George Romero's Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Classic zombie movie. So the Day of the Dead is getting a limited theatrical re-release on July 1st. So there's going to be different screenings and locations. So the website that you can go on to see where the screenings are going to be, it's called day40th.com. And there's going to be updates on there. So it says if you don't see a nearby screening listed, contact your local independent theater or drive in and tell them you want to see Day of the Dead on the big screen for its 40th anniversary. And, yeah. So
yeah,
anyway,
I am not doing that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, so I'll have to look that up and see if there's anything near me. But, yeah, that website, again, is called Day40th, like DAY40th.com. So go on there and see if there's any screens near you.
Nice. That would be really cool. I do love that movie. It's my favorite zombie movie, and obviously I would love to see it on the big screen because I haven't got to do that yet.
Wait, so Day of the Dead is your favorite zombie movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought Dawn of the Dead was your favorite.
No, that's my third favorite.
Oh, okay.
And then Zombie is my second favorite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, and then, like, World War Z is in there.
Yeah,
and then also, like, Shockwaves. I know that gets a lot of hate, but I love that movie, too. So
I've never seen that.
I'm not shocked.
I need to watch that because it's like 70s horror.
Yeah,
So,
Peter
like,
Cushing.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, why haven't I seen that?
It's got the kid from Flipper, the TV show, but grown up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's like it's a different kind of zombie movie, which is why it's not in my like top 3, but it's so unique that it is in there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but man, we're talking about all these movies, like all these special occasions. We can't skip over physical format releases such as 4K and steelbooks, because there's a lot of cool shit coming out. And I wrote down a few that I want to tell you about. We got Monkey Shines, which, that's my George Romero connection. You just talked about Day of the Dead, so I'm telling you about Monkey
yeah.
Shines. And, also has Tom Savini effects, and I have never seen it.
Okay.
I'm a bad person. I'm a bad, bad man.
I've seen it, and you wouldn't think a little monkey could be that dangerous, but this one is.
Oh, no. Monkeys are assholes, man. Of course. Donkey Kong?
Oh, yeah.
Another 4K Blu-ray release, one that we both love. It's from Shudder. It's When Evil Lurks.
Ooh, yeah.
So good.
That's going to be a good one to get on physical release, because there's going to be some cool special features, I'm sure, on it.
Yeah, I like the poster too.
Ooh, yeah.
Simple.
So it's different than the normal poster, or is it?
No, I mean, I just literally like the poster.
Oh, yeah. The poster's really cool, yeah. I like
We got
it
The
too.
Dead Zone, some Stephen King love.
Ooh, so is this like just a 4K release?
4K Steelbook,
Oh, nice, cool.
but you got to pay for it. You can't steal it.
Well, yeah.
And then, of
Can't-
course, one of my other favorite zombie movies, it's like we're on a zombie kick right now, is Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
man. It's got Miguel Nunez in it, man. That guy's
Oh, yeah.
gold. I want to get him on this damn show.
No enchiladas, though.
No
right?
enchiladas.
Yeah, that would be a good one to get to on 4K. Okay, so I just found out that Guillermo del Toro is making a version of Frankenstein. And so the trailer dropped on May 31st. So I need to go check that out. I haven't actually watched it yet, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty cool. So I guess it's supposed to release in November. The movie's supposed to come out in November. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of the first I'm hearing about it. Del Toro doing a Frankenstein. That's pretty cool.
I wonder if it was originally pre-planned to be part of that dark universe that they were going to do, and then ever since that fell apart, if like people stuck with their properties that they were going to originally do, or if it became open to anyone and he went for it.
Yeah,
He loves his monsters.
Yeah, and I guess apparently this movie's been over a decade in the making, I guess. So I'm not sure what the backstory is there, but yeah, because he was talking about this back in 2010 about wanting to make a Frankenstein movie. So yeah, I'm definitely interested. Could this be another chapter in the Dark Universe, or another kind of foot in the door for the Dark Universe? Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, think about it, man, because he wanted to do a Creature from the Black Lagoon. They wouldn't let him, so he made it into Shape of Water, and it won like Movie of the Year. So
Yeah,
yeah, let's go. I'm ready.
for sure. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's get to our main event.
The main event.
Before your funeral and your coffin lid is closed, before you are buried and your flesh turns cold, before you are covered with the last shovelful of dirt, be sure you are really dead. Mortuary.
All right, Andy, we're talking about Mortuary 1982, and this was your choice. And correct me if I'm wrong, you've seen this before.
I have, man. I'm very excited to see this movie. It's an interesting movie because it's often on a lot of lists of 80s slasher movies, But I don't know, like, I mean, it is, I guess you could technically call it a slasher movie, but I feel like it's kind of an unconventional slasher. You know, you see things in this movie that you don't necessarily see in a lot of slasher movies, and just the pacing is very different. So we'll talk about it. We'll get into it. But yeah, man, I love the movie poster for this. You know, I think it's one that I saw back in the day, as far as the poster in the video store or whatever. There was a really cool trailer starring Michael Berryman that they put out for this movie that had nothing to do with the movie whatsoever. I think it features Michael Berryman like digging a grave and like or something like that, and then this hand pops out of the grave and grabs him, and so it makes you think it's like a zombie movie, which is not at all. But is this your first time watching it, Dave?
Yeah, this is my first time watching the movie, but I, like you, very much recognize the poster for it from video stores and from always being like on Tubi and things. And funny thing is, I thought I had actually seen it just because the simplicity of the title, like Mortuary. But there's so many horror movies that start with the M. Like, I think I often confuse this one with Mausoleum. And you even had to call me out on it. Like, no, that's Mausoleum. This is Mortuary. And so I had to watch the trailer. And, of course, with it being the Michael Berryman promotional trailer, I'm like, yeah, no, I have not seen it. And I decided to go ahead and, you know, you picked it. So I gave it a couple of watches. And I was really excited when I found out that Bill Paxton was in it.
Yeah, man, it puts in a really good performance here. He is... He kind of plays one of the main characters, Paul, and he is the son of a mortician, played by Christopher George, who's a very familiar face. He was in movies like, he's in Graduation Day. That's kind of what I recognize him from. But he's also in Pieces.
That's a fun movie. Yes.
He's in Pieces in 1982, and he was actually he's in Enter the Ninja. That was a cool one, 1981. He's just been in a lot of stuff, like a lot of B movies, a lot of TVs from like the late 70s. So he's been in a lot of stuff. Dave of the Animals, he was in that movie. Yeah, so like he was in Grizzly. I guess we can't forget about that. But
man, you know I love Grizzly. I was waiting.
yeah. So
Guilty
he's
pleasure.
He's plays Bill Paxton's father,
Hank Andrews.
Yeah, so, and they're about the two most recognizable faces. I don't know. Did you recognize anybody else?
Oh yeah, there was a couple of recognizable people here. In fact, I actually had Julie sit down and watch this one with me, and you know, you kind of have your main character who you can call your final girl, I guess, but she has a real recognizable face, but we couldn't really figure out why. So I had to jump on IMDb and start looking it up, and Lord behold, she's from the Waltons, and I'm like, holy shit, that's totally her.
Oh yeah.
And then, of course, you have to recognize who plays her mom as Lynda Day George, and that's, you know, Christopher George's wife.
Oh,
she was also in Pieces, I believe. But
she was, yeah.
Was she also in Straw Dogs?
That I'm not
can't remember.
sure of.
But I've seen her quite a few times in just random horror movies.
She was in like Mission Impossible, the TV show. I guess she was in that, so that's cool. She was in a lot of 70s, 80s TV too. Yeah, she was in a lot of stuff that Christopher George was in, I think.
Right, because they were married, so they just
they were a package deal. But yeah. So I mean, she was a familiar face. I just couldn't quite remember what she had been in. But
so in Straw Dogs, it's Susan George. That's where I was getting that confused. There's a lot of people with the last name George. You got Curious George. Like, I'm fucking baffled.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So I was looking at some of the. I saw a name that jumped out at me. It was Gary Graver, and he is the cinematographer for this movie.
What a cool last name! Just saying.
You know why the name jumps out at me, because he was the director of Trick or Treats. I think from like early '80s, '80s. It might have been the same year. I don't know, but you know, I've talked a lot about that movie, but it's kind of a campy. Not really. So they kind of lump it in with the 80s slashers, but it's really not. It's more like a horror comedy kind of thing. But anyway, he was from that, so I recognize the name, and I kind of feel like knowing that some of the visuals that we get in here kind of match up with some of the stuff we see in it. Some of the style choices kind of match up between the two movies. The director, Howard Avedis, he did some other stuff. He did They're Playing with Fire that stars Sybil Danning, so that's kind of cool. He directed a lot of kind of like how do I put it, like stuff you might see on Cinemax late at night or something.
I had a feeling that, like, yeah.
You kind of get that feeling just from watching this. So this is the first time you've seen it, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so kind of what are your general thoughts about it? I mean, did you like it?
You know, it's interesting because the first time I watched it, when it was over, I was just kind of like, maybe not as brutal as like, well, that sucked, but it was just kind of dull, I guess, to me, and I was kind of confused on the type of genre and subgenre it fell into, because when you told me it was a slasher, I was like, cool, I expected a slasher, but then there's all this occult stuff happening, which, don't get me wrong, I loved. But then, I was kind of like, okay, I can see some of the slasher elements. And I'm like, that was a weird hodgepodge type movie. And I was like, well, I need to watch it again because we got to be able to talk about it. Then when I watched it a second time, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I will definitely agree. The pacing is really kind of weird in this one. Like, for an 80s slasher, there's very few kills. And it's like, there's like 2 kills at the beginning, and then it like spaces way out, and you don't get another kill until like way late in the film. So the pacing is kind of off as far as that. If you're expecting an 80s slasher, don't expect that. But this almost has the feel of like an Italian horror movie. I feel like a lot of colors and just kind of atmosphere too. I love the house, like the main house that the final girl and her mom live in, and that was really cool. And just a lot of the 80s stuff. The van that Greg drives is really cool. And
you mean it gets stolen? It
gets stolen by the killer, and they think it's their friend that is like kind of like not the first victim, but one of the early.
Speaking of that, so that's kind of where we start. Let's talk about the opening of the movie, because it does kind of open with a kill. We see a guy who's sitting there by the swimming pool, and he gets violently attacked with a baseball bat by who we don't see, but he gets bludgeoned, and he falls in the pool, and I'm assuming drowns. And we just see a girl come running out on a balcony, and she's screaming, and we don't understand the relationship yet, but we learn to believe that it was his daughter. And so, like any good horror movie, it starts off with a kill.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So, usually with a lot of these types of movies, you'll have some kind of tragedy or kill happening like way in the past. But this one's only like a month later, and we're picking up, we're like in current time just like a month later. So it's fairly recent, like the opening kill, and then when the story continues, it's like...
So what you're saying is prom night, this is not.
Yeah, it's not 16 years later or whatever, or 10 years later or whatever it was, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like, so in a lot of ways this movie kind of breaks the mold when it doesn't really follow the typical slasher formula, but you do have a masked, quote unquote masked killer with a special weapon and a special look to them. So what did you think about our killer, like their look?
It's not my favorite, of course, but the first thought I had was like, no way that I can tell who that is. And once we see the killer like a second time, we get a surprisingly good close-up shot of them, and I was just like, I know who that is. Yeah. And then when the movie was over, I was just like, they didn't do much to hide that.
No, they didn't. And like towards the end of the film, you find out that he has a white latex mask on, but it didn't look
total bullshit. No, like only for the end of the movie.
Exactly, because when you see him earlier on in the movie, he's not wearing a mask at all. It's just face paint, yeah. And so it's pretty obvious who the killer is. I like the black cloak. He has a black cloak on. He has like corpse paint, like for people that know like death metal or whatever.
He looks like he's going to see Ghost in concert.
Yeah, and he uses an embalmer's. So I don't know if people have ever seen.
It's like I looked online. It's called a trocar.
Yeah. So it's like that needle thing that they stick in bodies and suck out the blood or whatever. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but
it's a straw.
But it's like a sharp straw. But it's kind of a cool weapon. You haven't ever really seen that before as a slasher weapon.
True. That was unique for sure.
But yeah, so the killer, like I said, there's only like maybe four kills in this whole movie, I think.
Yeah, there's not a whole bunch. And, it's hard to say. I'm in a weird place because I watched this movie over a week ago and I have forgotten a lot about it, which says it doesn't leave a big impression on me. But I do remember really enjoying it when I watched it. And so I did write some notes down, which is good since I had forgotten so much about it. But, I got a few bullet points I want to bring up, Andy. So towards the beginning of the movie, we talked about we had this random kill, and then we meet two characters named Josh and Greg, and they're kind of breaking into the Mortuary's warehouse so that Josh can steal some tires. And I thought that was pretty random, but not as random as the fact that they stumble upon a seance that's being performed by Josh's former boss, Hank Andrews. And so I got pretty excited when I saw that we were already getting a seance.
Yeah, it was it was really random. It kind of reminded me of something. It was very like 70s, like Satanic Panic kind of stuff or whatever.
Yes, very much so. It reminded me of the visuals of something you'd see on like Night Gallery.
Exactly, yeah, or Kolchak the Night Stalker or something like that.
Exactly, which is why it works.
Yeah. Which, yeah, it was really cool. Like I said, this movie has lots of atmosphere to it, lots of just weirdness going on, and it just kind of keeps you guessing, like, what is going on in this movie?
Right, and do we learned that, like, Josh has seen this before, and it's because he had spied on them doing this, that's why he got fired?
Exactly, yeah, he saw them doing a seance before. They called it a seance, but this doesn't look like any seance I've ever seen, like, on TV or whatever, because you have like them all dressed in, like, this isn't just some people sitting around a table. They
were getting freaky. They were dancing.
They had like these red and black robes on, and they were like had all this ritual stuff. Like they had like a fog machine going or something, and they had dancers too, like these people dancing around and stuff. And it was
I was reading online. They were calling it like a Sabbath.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay.
So that's like a witchcraft thing, yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, man, and it's funny too because it catches like Josh, he sees it and he doesn't really care. Greg is like fascinated by it, so Greg stays behind to watch it, and that's when they get separated because Josh is going to go get those free tires, and then he sees a coffin with an arm hanging out, and then when he lifts the lid, we find out that there's a woman in there, and it's Mrs. Andrews, his former boss's wife.
Yeah, so he sees that, he's kind of shook. It's like, oh, that's not something he's supposed to see or whatever. And that just kind of gives us more questions about what's actually going on here in this warehouse. And he says, I'm just going to get my tires and get out of here. So he's in the process of leaving, and our killer jumps out and stabs him with the trocar.
Yeah, man. And what is this scene with like a tire swing? Did you see that where like these tires just randomly fall out of nowhere?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a jump scare, but it's completely illogical.
Yeah, it is. I wonder if they got that from My Bloody Valentine or something.
Maybe. But, since they're separated, Greg's looking for Josh, can't find him. And then, is it Greg's van or is it Josh's van? Because I always understood that it was Greg's van.
Oh, yeah, it's Greg's van. But he thinks that Josh is leaving him there for some reason. Like, why would your friend take your van and leave you in a warehouse?
Yeah, and so because he's left behind, he has to call his girlfriend Christy to come pick him up, and that's where we get to meet our main character, Christy, who we realize is the girl from the beginning that saw her dad get killed.
Yeah, she's kind of having a rough time. She's basically living with her mom, just her and her mom left, and Christy's kind of going through some emotional stuff because her dad died, and she's mad at her mom because it seems like her mom is quickly moving on to dating other people just like a month later or whatever. We kind of find out there's more going on than that. There's not, her mom isn't really like, so like she thinks that her mom is dating the mortuary guy, Paul's dad,
as one normally would.
Yeah, but it's not really like that. They're just trying to do the seance thing so they can, because Christy's mom wants to find out like if her husband was murdered or not, and so they're trying to summon his ghost to tell them who murdered him, basically. That's kind of what you find out through the course of the movie. And do they summon this ghost, really? I don't know. But
it's played off like they do, but they might be doing it just because someone's watching them.
Yeah, so yeah, there's some scenes like that where it's kind of people are watching this secret seance going on. But trying to think of some other interesting scenes. So they go to a roller rink.
Yes, it was called Skating Plus, and Andy, I wanted to go so bad.
Yeah, it really brought back the memories because it really had that feeling of a 80s skating rink. You know, it had like the carpet on the walls and stuff like that, and just very late 70s, early 80s feel to it. It had like the lights and everything. I really liked it. I thought it was cool.
And there's always like that one person who's in the middle of the rink who can do all the dance moves. And this guy was a scene stealer, man. He was tearing it up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did you catch one scene though where Greg and Christy are talking to their friends there because they're looking for Josh, and there's this guy in the background. You only see him a couple times. He's total like freak goth emo something, like plain black, long black hair or whatever, but I thought maybe this was going to be the killer because this guy was like awkwardly staring at the camera and listening to them, but I'm just assuming it was just a bad extra, but it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, I did notice that too because he kind of had like that emo look. He had like the hair over one eye or whatever. Yeah, the really long hair just kind of combed over. Yeah, I was kind of, because like he was like looking at them and he was like, the way the shot was framed, it was like he was going to be part of the conversation or something, but he never was.
Right, and he like mysteriously kind of dips out mid-sentence, you know?
Yeah.
And it makes you think like, oh, watch that guy. No, you never see him again.
Yeah. Man, talking about interesting characters, how about the sheriff? He was an interesting guy. He kind of...
Oh, yeah.
kind of like another Deputy Dewey. But he's kind of like a small-town sheriff, kind of a country guy, old guy.
Yeah. Reminds me of the sheriff from... the Bill Rebane, the giant spider invasion.
Oh, yeah. I could see this being a Bill Rebane movie, you know?
Oh, it might have been better if it was.
Yeah.
But, they go to that skating ring because they see Greg's van out there, but then they can't find Josh. And then when they leave the skating rink, Greg's van's gone. Yeah,
it's just gone. So whoever drove it there mysteriously left while they were in there talking, so... I guess,
and then the next day, Andy, we see that Christy is followed by that mysterious black station wagon.
Yeah, it looks like a hearse from the Mortuary.
Yes.
And you can kind of see the person with a black cloak on driving the car. So
the black gloves, like you said, the Italian.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I forgot about that. But it kind of ties back into that seance scene. It's like, okay, is the seance like a cult? Is there like a cult that's trying to, I don't know, kidnap Christy for like a sacrifice or something like that? What's going on here? We're just kind of left with a lot of questions at this point in the movie.
Well, she goes home and she's telling her mom about it, and we kind of find out from the mom that Christy has been acting this way, like it's kind of weird ever since her dad had died. Like you said, it's been a month, but the mom does not believe her. Like throughout the course of this movie, she's always saying you have an overactive imagination. She's gaslighting her basically.
Yeah, so, teenagers don't like that, so, Christy's going to act out. She's going to go hang out with her boyfriend and make her mom mad and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then Greg, he talks to the sheriff because he's trying to figure out about his van. I guess his van got impounded, and he's able to actually get his van back. But then that night is the first time we see that Christy is kind of having nightmares about the death of her dad, and then she starts sleepwalking.
Yeah, she starts sleepwalking, but then, like, the killer's outside her house, and, they kind of, like... I don't know, he's like trying to talk to her through the window or something, and
he's like, Christy.
Yeah. And then she ends up going outside to the pool area.
The biggest fucking swimming pool I've ever seen at somebody's house.
And then she kind of wakes up and sees the killer's right there, and he like kind of jumps out at her, kind of like lunges at her, and she like screams and runs off.
Yeah, we get a very small chase scene back to the house, and of course, her mom hears her screaming, and then so they have another conversation about it, and again, the mom's not believing anything that she's saying, and she is just saying that she's kind of traumatized, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and we get some scenes with, like, Paul, Bill Paxton. He plays a quirky character. I think he has a thing for Christy.
Hey, Andy, he's got the new Mozart.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He likes his classical music.
He does, and and we get a scene where her and Greg are at the cemetery. I'm trying to remember why they're at the cemetery now.
They're probably visiting her dad's grave.
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
But at that scene, that's, written to a way for Greg to tell Christy that he saw her mom at that, seance. And then that's when Paul shows up and gives her a rose and then runs away in the goofiest way I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, he is, total goofball, man. And, yeah,
he looks like Sidney from Scary Movie when he runs. With his arms flapping and he's skipping around. Yeah,
he's just, skipping off. That's right. But he has, a bouquet of flowers for his mother's grave. And he gives one to Christy, so that was kind of weird, but
it's also kind of sweet.
Yeah, but he really misses his mom. It sounds like, and so he visits her grave regularly, and skips around in the cemetery. It's kind of weird.
But we do learn that he's been weird ever since his mom had committed suicide, and that his dad runs the mortuary. So a lot of stuff is starting to piece together.
Yeah. So. And, Greg, he actually went to the police. He actually talked to the sheriff about seeing Paul's dad and the seance in the warehouse. But unfortunately, Paul's dad was there at the same time. And Paul's dad was like, no, this kid's lying. I don't know what this kid's talking about. He totally denies being involved in the seance.
Yeah, Paul's dad pays taxes, man, so
Yeah.
But, dude, and we also, we see that Greg's parents own a flower shop.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we see that brief scene in the flower shop, and he's supposed to take some flowers to the mortuary.
Heaven's Gate Mortuary. I thought that was a pretty cool name.
Oh, is that the name? I totally missed that.
That's the name of it, yeah. And that's when we get the scene where Mr. Andrews kind of threatens him.
Yeah, tell him, stop telling lies about me or stop, talking about me. And or else
it's a cool scene because when that kind of happens and he walks away, Paul's like, hey, come here. And then he goes into the embalmery room with Paul, and we get a good little moment between them before it's interrupted by Mr. Andrews.
Yeah, and actually, Paul, he's embalming somebody, right? And he's
yes.
Showing off his work to Greg, which I don't think Greg is too interested.
No, he's not. But you kind of learn that he's Paul's not really interested either. He's just, his dad wants him to do it, and he feels weird being an embalmer because he talks about nobody ever wants to go out with me or hang out with me because they think I'm weird.
Yeah, I could see that. And Paul's just kind of a strange guy anyway.
You just don't like the way he runs.
Yeah.
But Greg and Christine, they go back to her house, and this is a cool scene because weird things start happening, right? The lights are turning on and off, the music starts playing by itself, everything shuts off again. And you see this in some movies where it happens once or twice, but dude, it happens 10 or 12 times.
Yeah, the lights, just the power keeps going off and on, off and on. And I don't know if it's supposed to be the killer messing with them or what. I forget.
Bro, you keep doing that, you're gonna blow some fuses for sure.
Yeah, flipping the breaker back and forth like that.
Yeah, but it's got them all scared to the point where Christine's mom comes home, and whenever she opens the door, they kind of almost attack her because they think it's the killer.
Yeah, but we did get that nice little dance scene, where they had the music going for a little while. They had some disco or something, and they were...
See, I almost missed it because I was dancing myself.
Yeah?
Yeah, I like the music.
Yeah, seeing Greg's kind of his awkward dance, whatever, I thought was funny.
Oh, yeah, he can't outdo Crispin Glover, though, I'm here to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just funny kind of seeing the dance styles from back then.
I know that there's a point where Greg and Christy are trying to spy on the mom because they think the mom's acting weird, and that's where they see the mom and the sheriff and Mr. Andrews, and everybody's hanging out together, which is why you can't trust the sheriff. And they hang out so long, they see the mom and Mr. Andrews get into that same black station wagon, and later that night they follow them to the mortuary's warehouse, where they see the part where they're doing the actual seance, and they're trying to talk to, I think her dad's name was George Parsons.
They just call him Dr. Parsons, so I'm not sure. But yeah.
And that's where it's an awkward moment because I think they're trying to because the mom's name is Sue, they're trying to get us to actually side with her and care for her, because this whole time we're like, man, the mom acts real weird. What's really going on? And then the daughter, Christy, is kind of almost relieved, right? She's like, oh, I feel so bad. My mom's just trying to figure out what happened to my dad.
Yeah, that's when she finds out my mom's not not cheating, but
she ain't a hoe.
Yeah, she's not moving. She's just trying to find out what happened to my dad. So she's kind of, like you said, she's relieved, and they don't even notice that they're up there. These guys, her and Greg are just up in this little kind of loft area, this little balcony, looking down on the And you would think that they'd be able to see them, like the people in the seance, like Paul's dad and Christy's mom, that they'd be able to see them pretty easily, but I guess not.
And that's my point, too, that I said earlier, is that I wonder if they know they're being watched because they might purposely staging that so that way Christy would feel that way.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that, but...
But you know who else is there? It's an awkward moment because when they are going to leave, Paul's there.
He's always there.
He's always there. You would think he lives there or that he was kept there.
Yeah.
But, they go back to Christine's house and, you mentioned about the, director and the cinematography, and this is where we have an evening of intimacy, very Red Shoe Diary style.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we get a pretty prolonged scene here, intimacy, yeah.
But we get to hear the killer outside sounding like Darth Vader with all his deep breathing.
Yeah, there was a little watching going on there.
Yeah, man, but, the moment's broken up because Christine sees, like, pictures of her dad on the mantle and stuff, and, that can kill the mood.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what occurred to me, though, is whenever she doesn't want to do it, like, he reacts, I guess, getting blue-balled or whatever, but he does care about her, so he has that moment of sympathy, and we find out that they haven't had sex since her father died, and that was making me think of, like, Scream with Sidney Prescott and the way she stopped being sexual with her boyfriend since her mom died. And so I wonder if Kevin Williamson had, like, pulled from this.
Oh, yeah, it could be, yeah, because, I mean, I know they drew from a lot of these 80s slasher movies.
And, Christine, she's having more of those nightmares and she does more sleepwalking, but this night when she does, she actually grabs a knife from the kitchen and she's going to kill that killer, Andy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she grabs a knife and she starts like sleepwalking and
this is when they're like just right outside the window, and this is when like Andy 100%. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know exactly who this person is.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. I mean, I don't think that. I would hope that they're not trying to keep the killer's identity a secret because it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and she goes to stab him and just breaks through that window, and then he gets away. The mom comes downstairs. And this was a pretty cool scene, too, because this is like she's confiding in her mom, kind of like forgiving her mom. Her mom's connecting to her, and they talk about, like, Paul. And I was really surprised because, like, I thought the killer was Paul from what I saw, but then the mom's like, maybe it's Paul. He's psychotic. And we find out that, and I like this part, too, because this is where it kind of makes some sense of the movie. We find out that her dad, who was killed in the beginning, was Paul's doctor, and he was trying to take psychiatric care of Paul, but then Paul's dad's like, no, I'll just keep him at the mortuary. And, Paul had asked for Christy's hand in marriage, and then her dad had turned it down, which is maybe why we have the murder in the beginning, just saying.
Oh, yeah.
But, Andy, I learned something from this. If you can't go to sleep, just do a shot of brandy with your mom. You'll be all right.
Oh, yeah, that was funny. Like, her mom's like, yeah, let's just drink a little brandy. That'll make you sleepy.
I know her. I'm like, is she 21? What's happening?
Yeah. But then the killer comes back, and we get our next death scene, actually.
We do. Were you surprised that the mom is the next to go?
Kinda, yeah. I wasn't sure, but yeah, I was definitely surprised. I thought
you would think some people were playing on the same team, but I guess not.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely not. Yeah, we kind of find out that the killer does not discriminate.
Yeah, and this right here screamed Giallo more than anything else because she gets stabbed like over 20 times.
It does. It definitely reminds you of something from a Giallo, like an Italian horror movie. Yeah.
For sure, man. And then, of course, the mom screams, all this commotion's going on. Christine hears it. She runs and finds her mom dead. But then I was shocked that the killer was still there. And so then the killer chases her out of the house. They go, like, down the street. They circle back around, and she hides in a greenhouse. It's a pretty long and drawn-out scene. And then she sneaks back into her own house because I guess she thought that she lost him. And no, he's there. She unmasks him, and Andy, who's the killer? It's Paul.
Dum dum dum. Yeah.
Big surprise there, but then he sedates her and puts her in his station wagon.
Yep, and it's off to the mortuary they go.
Yes, sir. And on one of the previous scenes, like where the intimacy was broken up and everything like that, we had find out that Greg and Christine are, it might be a little while before they see each other. They're going to take a little break, but Greg's not handling it too well, man. All this is happening with Christine, but Greg's out with his friends. But this whole time, he's just thinking about her, and so he tries to call her, and she's not home answering, and they're like, you should go to her. And my dude, that was some good advice.
Yeah, because Greg kind of ends up saving the day, because when he gets there, he has to get inside the mortuary first, and Paul's dad drives up, and we think, oh, he's just going to go in behind him, but he doesn't. He actually tries the door after his dad goes in, but it's locked. Man, I can't remember how he eventually gets into the mortuary.
Well, I remember, like, when he went to Christine's house, he had seen them drive by in that station wagon, so he followed them there, and it was kind of funny because I was shocked that Paul had Christine and her mom in the car, and so he, like, wheels them in on that, like, what do you call it, like a gurney?
Yeah, a gurney, yeah.
Yeah, and there is a couple of times where I guess he sneaks inside, but that's not important. What's crazy is that once we're inside, he has Christine, and this is Paul we're talking about. Paul has Christine on this table, and he sedates her again, and my dude, he's going to embalm her. Yeah,
he is, because, if that's really the only way they're going to be able to be together is if she's dead.
Exactly, man. So he sedates her, he undresses her while she lays on this slab, and he's like washing her body off in this like gratuitous kind of long drawn out scene, and then he takes a towel and he's like groping her and drying her off with the towel, especially on the breast for a really long time. I was like, Paul, what are we doing here? You can at least wait to the honeymoon, my dude. But
yeah.
Like you said, this is whenever he's like, you're gonna be my best work because I love you and we'll be together forever.
Then his dad busts in and says, "What's that noise?"
That's right.
But no, his dad is like, "What's going on here?" And so Paul explains that this is where we find out that Paul is indeed the killer. He killed Dr. Parsons. Christy's dad had to punish him. Yeah, he's using punish, and then Greg's friend, I forgot his name already, but. Anyway, Greg's friend in the beginning.
Oh, Josh?
Yeah, Josh saw.
Yeah.
Oh, because Josh saw Paul's mom in the casket.
Yes.
And so that's kind of like, okay, kind of the big secret, I guess, because Paul's saying that he faked his mom's death to make her, so he could keep her in hiding or whatever. And so this is the first time that his dad is finding out about this too. And,
were you surprised as I was? Because, again, I was just like, wait, how did y'all not know this?
Yeah, because...
I thought you were all in on it.
Yeah, yeah. So his dad was kind of shocked, and then, Paul tells him that he killed Christy's mom and had to punish her. And then,
and his dad was real mad about that and heartbroken because he had affection for her, for sure.
Yeah. And then Paul had to punish his dad.
That's right, man. His dad's like, turn yourself in, and instead Paul just stabs him.
Yeah, but then he feels instant remorse. He's like, oh, Dad, and he's kind of upset that he did that, but Greg...
As every psycho is,
yeah. But then...
You want to know something funny?
Yeah, what's that?
I actually have a note written down that says Greg sneaks in through the window, so I guess that's how he got into the mortuary.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he tries to go into the embalming room, but it's locked. And so he leaves and he walks down the hall, and Paul like sneaks behind him. So it's like he tries to open the door to go in. It's locked. Oh, well. He starts walking down the hall, but then Paul walks out that same door and follows him down. Greg goes in like these multiple doors. And did you catch the one where he opens it up and there's like all this religious stuff in it?
Oh, yeah, he just opens it up real quick and then shuts it. He doesn't even go in there.
Yeah.
Like, I thought...
I had to pause it and start looking. It was like a giant cross and all kinds of good stuff in there.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because it was kind of lit, kind of weird. It was dark, but...
Yeah.
So,
I was getting some, like, Carrie vibes.
Yeah, like a prayer closet or something.
Exactly, and I was wondering if that attributed to, like, did he get put in there and things like that. But then he finds another room that's full of caskets, and, man, I think just... I want to go to one of these places and do a podcast there. Would you podcast in a casket with me, bro?
Yeah, that could be fun.
Okay, cool.
So, we can kind of get this little cat and mouse thing going through the mortuary. But then, Paul locks Greg in the room. And then Paul takes everybody, his dad, Christy's mom, and Christy, takes them all back to the warehouse. Kind of where it all started.
Yes, and then, as you mentioned, Greg was locked in there, but he was also locked in there with an axe.
Yeah, so he's able to chop down that door and get out of there.
Mm-hmm. And so, we're at the warehouse. All the bodies are dressed up and they're sitting in chairs, very like Texas Chainsaw Massacre style. And Paul is listening to his Mozart record, but Andy, he's conducting the music.
He is. He's using his trocar there as like his little conductor's wand, and he's really going for it. And,
and that's when I turn my head and go crazy.
Yeah. This is kind of one of those scenes I feel like it's kind of a common thing in a lot of these 80s slashers. Like, we'll get kind of like, at the end we'll get a scene where we see all the dead bodies, that all the victims that have been killed throughout the movie, they'll all kind of show up at the end. Sometimes they're dressed up, sometimes they're not, but in this case they are dressed up, and Paul, this is like his wedding to Christy, and he wants his mom and dad to be there, and Christy's mom and dad to be there, and he's talking to them like they're still alive and stuff. Yeah, and
Christine, we find out, is wearing Paul's mother's wedding dress. And, he tells his mom, all right, I kept my promise and I prevented Dr. Parsons from putting you away. Because I guess his mom was going to get committed at one point. And he's like, we faked your death, but Josh saw it, so I killed him. And then that's when Greg shows up. And the look on his face is priceless, because he's shocked to see like all these dead people, see what's happening. And they get into a brawl. He attacks Paul with the axe, and then Paul defends himself. And Greg grabs a rifle, and we forgot to mention in the beginning of the movie, for whatever reason, there was like this rifle inside of a casket, and he was pretending to play with it. And so at this scene, when he picks it up, I was just like, man, I wonder, is it real or not? And sure enough, it's a real rifle, but it's filled with blanks.
Yeah, because he shoots Paul, but Paul just laughs at him and says, "Oh, that would be really good if those weren't blanks." And
right.
So
and I'm still like, but why is there a rifle there?
Yeah, it's just in this random warehouse with these caskets and stuff, and it's supposed to be supplies for a mortuary.
Right. Maybe they kill their own people for the mortuary.
I don't know. But
that's when Christine wakes up, and
how convenient.
So it's and here's the reality. Like, I had read that in this scene she's sleepwalking, but it looks like she wakes up to me.
Yeah.
From after being sedated.
Yeah, I just assumed that she just woke up. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the best thing happens. She gets up and she grabs the axe off the floor and she plants it right into Paul's back. And we don't see a lot of it until he falls down, and we get a little bit of the aftermath, and it's pretty fulfilling because there's like this huge gash and it's just like exploding with blood.
Oh yeah.
And so if that wasn't enough, like Greg punches him too, and so yeah, man, he falls to the floor and presumably bleeds out.
Yeah, and we think that, well, this is the end. The lovers will embrace and the credits will roll, but not quite so. Because
every good horror movie has to have a stinger, Andy.
Yeah, because as Paul mentioned, they faked his mother's death, and she's kind of been comatose the whole movie, but now all of a sudden she's awake and somehow she has a knife in her hand. I don't know.
Well, it's because, check it out, I'll tell you, because earlier in the movie, Paul put the knife in his mom's hand and said that she could cut the cake.
Oh, okay, I missed that. Yeah.
It's a small scene. I saw it on the second watch. Okay. But then, yeah, like you were saying, she has a knife in her hand, and so that's not good news. But it gives us a really cool, like, ending freeze frame jump scare thing. I appreciated it.
Yeah, because she, like, gets up and, like, screams and runs at him with the knife. So and then it stops her.
Roll credits.
Yeah. So,
Mozart credits, I think.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. So
it's a weird movie, dude. It really is.
It is, and I don't know, like, I suggested it before I had rewatched it, and I mean, I don't know, I had fun with it. Did you at least have fun with it?
I did have fun with it, and I'm very happy to have watched it. I feel like it's something that it's kind of so weird that people just need to see it to believe it type deal. So I actually recommend it.
Yeah, I do, especially if you're like an 80s horror fan. Like, now be warned, this is a slower movie, but it does have Bill Paxton kind of acting crazy, so I think that kind of makes up for it. And it has some, it has some cool music. I really like the score. It was the same guy that did. He did something else. Let's see, what did he do? He did lots of 80s TV scores and stuff, but it was John Kakavas, and he did. I really like the score to this. It kind of has that. I don't know if it's Friday the 13th, but it's kind of something like that. It's just that early 80s kind of.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I did pick up on that. I didn't write a note about that, but there was a total Friday the 13th, Henry Manfredini type sound.
Yeah, so I liked that. I thought that was cool. And, I just like the feel of the movie. It like I said, it's just like a fun movie. Don't take it too serious, and yeah.
Yeah, it's aesthetically pleasing. I think for me, I appreciated the scenery and the time period more than anything else. Everything from the rolling rink to the mortuary, and oddly enough, even the warehouse for the mortuary just made really good backdrops for a basic 80s horror movie. And so I'm glad you recommended it. And, we didn't mention, but it does stream for free on Tubi. And so, if you hear this podcast and you haven't seen it, but it makes you want to watch it, hey, go ahead and watch it before it disappears.
Yeah, go for it.
And so that wraps up this episode. I'm Phantom Dark Dave.
And I'm Abnormal Andy.
And thank you for listening to the Scream and Skull podcast.